things that we're also documenting around how we need to probably think a little bit more about these things or have a better foundation for the things that all of you are asking. I'm also thinking about your boxing class. We just met an individual that has a boxing gym on 138th Street by the bridge, and we're talking about what a partnership looks like for our kids to be able to go to him and that be a gym credit on their behalf. And so what does that then look like for middle schoolers is probably the bigger question. It's important.
Great. Young men and break in the back.
Yeah, I want to know, like, what is making your school stand out from all others?
Okay.
Because our high school is so successful right here in the South Bronx, we know that what we're teaching our middle schoolers will have them so much more prepared for college and career, right? I think that a lot of schools have a theme, but AECI High School is one of the first schools that really was thinking about career right off the bat. Before you were born and when you were little, the whole educational program shifted in the country to everybody going to college. But what we know is that that's not necessarily realistic, right? And we want our students to come out with a skill set that if they want to go to college, that's absolutely fine, they'll be prepared to do that. But if they decide that they want to go down a career path, they also will be just as prepared for that. And so I think that when we think about scaling architecture down to 6th grade, and we think about making sure that they draw, because I've already started to have meetings with the high school teachers that teach our theme and said, what does architecture look like for 6th graders? I've had those meetings and I'm continuing to have those meetings. And they talked about drawing, right? We talked about what does engineering look like? And they said, you know what, to make it fun and think about an 11-year-old having fun, let's have them do a lot of hands-on project-based activities where they build robots. So just today, I was sitting in my office ordering like Lego kits for students and thinking about like, how do we make sure that there's a joy for learning at the same time making sure this is rigorous. So no matter what path you want to go on, you are able to do that. Okay.
Take one final question from the public.
There's 2, 3, oh, there's 4.
We gotta get the agenda though. So I'll take the young lady in the back.
Okay, so you are able to like see the grades in your school, right?
Grades?
Yeah. Would you say there's more kids proceeding on to the next grade in your school, or is there more kids being left back?
Well, at the high school level, kids are moving on. So when I said that we are graduating 95% of our kids, that's including students with IEPs, that's including E&L students. Our population, basically, if you do come through our doors, you're gonna graduate, and then we're gonna figure out what is the next best step for you. If I remember right, we had a figure that last year, in between scholarships and financial awards from college, there was almost $2 million worth of money that was going back and forth between our kids. And so our supports are in place to make sure that even if you're struggling, you're gonna get to that next level. And now, to answer your question more specifically, how do we do that at the middle school level? Because in middle school is where you potentially get left back. And so how do we make sure that we're grabbing you nice and early, giving you that support that you need so that it's not a question of whether you're getting left back or not, it's around how much can we move down from the high school level to give you at the middle school level because you can handle it and support it so that when you get to 11th and 12th grade, your regents are done, your coursework is pretty much done, and so you can focus in on internships or job training or whatever it is that you want to do. And another piece is that at our high school level, the average for ACI 1, a student is leaving with 15 to 21 college credits by the time you leave us in 12th grade. And so if I can capture you and we can capture you at the middle school level and start getting some of those prerequisites from high school done at the middle school level, then we have the ability, and we're paying for those credits on your behalf. So if you're walking into college in your first year with 15 to 21 credits done that we paid for, you're graduating college early or can concentrate on things that your peers probably can't concentrate on. And so our plans are gonna be impacted by how well we do, how well Tyra does at the middle school level to be able to give those opportunities. So.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear. I didn't hear that.
I want to thank everyone for the questions. However, I do want to transition any final questions. If you could talk with the presenters right outside of the room, we have to move the agenda forward because we have another presenter who has to present the leave soon. So.
She's gonna go, Tyra's gonna go to the back, if anybody has a question.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for your time, AECI. I want to transition to our next presenters, who will be the Bronx. No. Thumbs down like up. Yes. Thumbs down like up. Thank you.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Thank you. I have the mic. Y'all can hear me? Oh. So, my name is Dan. I'm gonna be 20 minutes. I'm gonna be quick, 'cause I know it's time sensitive. But give a round of applause to our youth. As you can see, they're very intelligent. They ask a lot of questions. You can't be involved have a youth program or after school program and anything involving the youth without engaging the youth, without getting their opinions. So I'm gonna put that in the forefront. This is one of the reasons why I have these youth part of our program, because we service them, we attend to them. Our main joy, our existence is to cater to them and make sure we do the right thing by them. And this is why we have them present right here today. And I want them to give them another round of applause, please. So, my name is Ben Dobbins. I'm the executive director here. I've done my life up. We are housed in Lincoln Hospital, the biggest single-site trauma center in New York City. It's why it's so easy for us to get here. We have our basement in B75. We have our after-school program. Let's go by the slide real quick. I know I have 20 minutes. And I know you're kind of impressed. They have a lot of presenters right now. So, next slide, please. So about us, I said we're the biggest single-site trauma center in New York City, number 3 in the nation. Our 3 components consist of prevention, intervention, and community mobilization. Our job here at Lincoln Hospital, we track all the gunshots, assaults, and stabbings. It's called the gas report. We make sure we get in front of every patient here to offer them alternatives and resources. The doctors and nurses, they do a great job patching them up. But after that, what happens, right? That's the service that we provide for them, that aftercare when they're in the streets, offering them resources, offering them jobs, right? Always say, somebody gets shot in the street, Gilly, the ambulance comes, the police come.
I've seen our doctors patch them up.
Who comes for that individual that wants to retaliate, right? So we are part of the crisis management system, CMS in New York City. And that consists of violent interrupters. We canvass the community to defuse situations before it escalates. We have a team, our team is here present. If all the Vandalic team can please come to the front. We also have no bulletproof vests. And we out here defusing situations. We have our hands on the pulse of what's going on. I'm gonna get into detail. I know I have 20 minutes, so I'm speaking kind of fast.
Sure.
Okay. Also, we have our outreach workers that canvass the community to bring awareness of the programs that we have, right? Then we have our hospital responders component. And all the crisis management systems in New York City, which is over 36 sites. In the Bronx, we have SOS, RTG, BRAG. So we're the same similar model, crisis management system, and we have the same staffing requirements, but we're unique, we hospital-based, right? And we deal with people who come to our emergency room. We will offer external sites, but I felt the hospital was an excellent place. They're across the street from the projects, we're right here in the South Bronx, and to be able to cater to our patients in real time. We have pages, we get the patients, we get the beep in real time. And we have a patient care plan, we have a champion doctor, a social worker, and we embedded in the hospital. We are part of the service of the New York City Health Hospital. Okay, I just want to get that clear. So we want to swim upstream, right? We don't want to just wait for patients to come in. So we have our prevention program. That's why you see our individuals here. We have over 235 participants. Oh, excuse me, how many participants we have? How many?
285.
We have 285 participants enrolled in our program, and we have a waiting list. Okay? We do music, media, fashion, dance. A quick example, when they're doing the podcast in my studio, they're doing Pro Tools, they're doing music, but meanwhile they're learning engineer work. We do fashion, right? But meanwhile they're learning accounts payable, accounts receivable, right? I'm gonna have probably one of the youth talk about the outcomes, because we have participants here that have been enrolled in our program since 2017 and still sitting here today, right? We have participants in our program here. I'm not going by the slide, but you just have to go. You want to slide the thing if you want. But some of our participants have been enrolled in our program since 2017 are still enrolled in our program. We have a lot of success stories. They're in college, they went to the next grade. The next grade, they're all graduated. Go ahead, Trent.
People have lower entry jobs.
Yes. Some of them are actually working here right now in Lincoln Hospital as employees. Actually, I have one of my participants when I first started here. You know, we actually employed here right now at Lincoln Hospital. He was being bullied. What school you went to? 223. He was bullied. He wanted to retaliate. He was came to our emergency room, and he's an employee now. He's actually a mentor and an outreach worker around interrupted right now. Let's give him a round of applause. We have gunshot victims that came to our ER that are actually employed by us right now. They're working with us. So I just wanted to show that the impact that we have with the existing staff right now and the people that we employ. So these are the stats. Just turn real quick, right? I'm gonna actually go on the stage too, right? So if you see the gunshots, and you'll have it in your sheet. Look at your sheet there, but look at the trend. If you notice the hot months, right? Always go up. I've been tracking the gunshots since 2017, but I have 2018 here to 2025. If you notice the pattern during the summertime hours and during the holiday times, you have more tractions, right? Look at the stab wounds. Look at the assaults. So what we do is we deploy our teams during these times, during the summertime hours when we have peak week during June. During the holiday seasons, we make sure we deploy our teams. And we are responsible for the catchment area of Patterson and Mitchells. Y'all follow me? And we also deal with Cortland, morgue houses, court mandates, we have the entry programs. But I'm sharing these facts with you guys because we're the biggest single site trauma center, but these violent interrupters and outreach workers, we stop a lot of incidences from coming into our hospital because we have the stats here, right? But a lot of these situations is coming outside our catchment area. So, one, we need a letter of support. Two, we want to expand these services because we could show that the incidences in our catchment area has decreased because of these superheroes here that you see. So we want to expand, like in Cortland, beyond Mitchells, Jackson, outside of our existing catchment area. This is what I'm asking y'all today. Because if we had double team, right, a quadruple team, the Bronx to be a safer place because the statistics show and the status show and the proof is in the pudding, right? And we need more ratio of mentors to handle these individuals because it makes us unique too. All these youth go to different schools. They all go to different schools. They all meet friends here, right? They bring awareness and we creating youth ambassadors to bring awareness of the issues of gun violence, right? We want to keep not only the Bronx safe, but New York City safe. The New York City Hospital has recognized Lincoln Hospital and our model to be one of the best practices. They want to replicate this model throughout New York City. There's 5 other hospitals that have this model, but we want to expand this model. Let's just stick with the Bronx. Gun Down Life Club needs to expand throughout our 2 existing catchment areas. So this is what I'm asking for the letter of support that we be able to expand, we be able to spread our model. I'm hoping I can get that from you guys. I know when y'all asked us to present, I asked for some of our participants. I know we short for time, but I'll give you an example. Does anybody want to stand up right now and give one example? Because I know we short for time, we have 20 minutes. I want to speak. Anyone of you? Or you want to say something? Go ahead.
So when I first came to the program, it was different, but in a way, it was a good way. Because when I first saw it, my brother went. My brother, he was just like me, high temper. He was fighting in school. He was just, regular kid stuff. So when I first saw it, it was taking an effect for him because he had James to go to, he had Gilly. Gilly been here for years. So he had people that understand him. So with my brother, after he graduated, he do YouTube, he do his shirt, because he learned that from James. Because at the time, we didn't really have programs out there like that. So he learned it from James, he know how to make his shirt, he know how to do different stuff, he know how to do modeling, he do fashion, he do all of that. So when I first saw it, it worked for him, I tried it. It took a little time for me because I was young at that age and I was hot tempered, I was not. So when I started maturing, I learned how to make shirts, I learned how to design, I learned how to do stock, I learned how to do different things. We do boxing, we do biking, we do different things here. So it's different because everybody here got a story, especially adults that have been working with us, and we go through the same path they do, but they trying to stop us in a different way.
You hired. See, you say it better than I can say it. It sounds better coming from him, right? So I know we have a short time. I don't want to take up too much time. I appreciate this. Did I have enough time? 20 minutes is done?
Another 7 minutes?
I have another 7 minutes. So Gilly, I have to pass the mic to Gilly because Gilly he's one of the founders of SOS, right? He's the man that I turn to as far as having in jail, right? The gang specialist. A lot of people caught of shots in prison. People are coming home from jail right now, right? And when they come home, where are they going to? They diffuse a lot of situations. So I just want you to understand that we deal with this, we have a whole holistic approach. Everything is strategic. And we hand pick the individuals, or we get referrals from the Department of Probation, referrals from the Alternative to Incarceration program. We get mandated to our program, and we just here to kind of service the community. Gilly, did I miss anything?
You said, only that, but you said in a nutshell, basically we need more supporters, since you guys are community board members, and you guys are our spokesperson for us inner city people that are neck deep in the communities, working with the adolescent, working with the youth, offering them plenty of alternatives, even offering time mentoring, and as well learning from them, because they are a voice and nobody wants to listen to them. So we take the time to also hear them. As much as we teach, we learn from them.
Yeah.
Right? So what we need is for them, right? So they don't have to go down that wrong route, right? So that's why Guns Down Life Up is here. We provide so much for them. But at the end of the day, the funding is not just for anything. The funding is just continue to support them so they don't have to go outside and do nothing different, right? So this is why we advocate and we plead with you guys, because you guys are our voice, hands down. We're in the projects every day. We're in all communities every day. Like James says, we don't have a vest. We don't have a gun. What we have is the mind. And the mind is so powerful. And it's powerful enough to teach them so they get ahead and they can teach their peers and their peers and their peers. And then one day maybe it'll be a safer place up here. But if we don't support Guns Down Life Up, if we do not support the youth, don't expect it to change. So you guys are a voice. You guys are valid. You guys are in a great position to go further upstream, like James says, to say, hey, there's people in Lincoln Hospital, the South Bronx, that's putting in that work. Thank you.
Thank you, Gilly. Thank you. So, will you any questions? For the audience, like again, we ask for a little support. If you look at your paper, we make it cool and trendy to promote peace. We just had Mano that came here. We're gonna have different people that come here. And a lot of our participants been here for like 3 or 4 hours. And I know they probably have to go. Someone leave the room for questions. Thank you for your time and thank you so much.
Do you guys have any questions for us?
No, here we go.
We need the questions from here. Right.
Sure.
Perfect.
I want to thank you, Mr. Dobbins, and the team at GDLU. I do have a question. Can you briefly walk me through, your role in intervening when there's, a victim of, I guess, a violent act, that comes here into the hospital? What happened? Like, what is your role? What do you do? And then what are the next steps that
Alright,
immediately happen?
so I'm a hospital responder. So let's say a gunshot assault stabbing comes in, like James explained, the ambulance brings the patient here, the police at the crime scene, the doctors patch him up. But who's there for the brother and sister that want to retaliate? Who's there when the family, when the member does not live? We are the ones who have to express to the family with the doctor that their family member's not coming back. Now, mind you, you have 60 to 80 family members outside that's not trying to hear that. So that's where our whole violence interruption team, our outreach workers come in, and we work on conflict mediation. We work on trying to bring down the heat, right? And allow them to see their family member for that one more last time. Now, what happens when a person survives? Well, to get in the psyche, immediately we say, well, let's focus more on rehabilitation and retaliation, because you're not fit to go right back out and retaliate. So it's about how you speak up here, right? Because it's hard for me to tell you don't retaliate when somebody try to turn your lights off, right? But if I tell you, well, let's focus more on rehabilitating, right? You're not ready. So then the guy says, all right, well, you know what? You're right, man. Let me just rest up. Let me get better. By that time, we're at your bedside every day. We have a 24-hour shift. So we're at that, every shift goes back to that bed and see how you're doing. And by then, we're offering the program, we're offering job alternatives, stipends, right? OSHA training, CDL training, something to when you're about to leave the hospital, like James says, do we throw you back on the street corner or do we offer you something? So for me to get you out that street corner, I gotta offer you something better than what you get on the street corner.
And is that 2 seconds? Great. A lot of these guys we hire, they have their hands on the pulse of the community. And also, they talk from a perspective of, look, I was like you. I've been shot before. But listen, I've been up north. I've been up in the mountains. You don't want to do that. So just changing their mindset and be able to relate to them and connect with them is the key factors as well. That plays a major role in doing that.
Great responses, thank you. Any more board members with questions? No? Okay.
So again, I hope I get that letter. Okay.
Yes, I will.
Yes, sorry, but just add, maybe just a two-part question. First, I'll ask, I know you mentioned the letter of support. Thank you so much for the tremendous work that you all do. Can you share more about what the letter of support you hope will lead to next and how we can continue to collaborate? And next, I just am so, it's just tremendous to see so many young people at today's meeting because this committee is for them. And I wonder if there might be ways we can continue to partner so that young people can hear about the community board and learn about ways they can push for change on a local level and continue to attend our meetings. So first, the letter of support and then collaboration.
So obviously we applied, I've been here for 7 years in Lincoln Hospital. We applied for discretionary funds. We do applications. They ask for letter of support.
Okay.
Now I've received letter of support from the mayor's office, city council, the Bronx Borough president. When that's good, I think we got community board too. I'm gonna name different community boards. I think we have one from y'all too, early on, previously. Let's kind of renew it. I should say, go in the show. And also, we have proof that our model works, right? As far as the participants from 2017 that are still here, right? And have grown and we're expanding. We want to be able to, and also we want to connect with y'all more solid. So I'm asking for the letter that we can be able to expand our services. So we are going to apply to expand our catchment and we can show the statistics and the numbers that the works here. And we want to be able to do the same thing. I hope I answered the question.
That's excellent. And maybe we can ask folks to follow us on Instagram. How can we get young people to like these meetings and get here more often? Maybe that's a question for the youth.
The kids. Okay.
QR codes. Okay. That's good to know.
Some of the questions they ask the youth, they could have a better answer and give you a better, because they're out there and they have their hands on the pulse.
Thank you for that.
We now have a question from our district manager, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, James, tell us about how you believe your program has been able to deter, because it's twofold, responding to acts of violence in the street, but also to squash probably, people retaliations, which also continue to save lives. And I look at the statistics. Tell me how you believe while your statistics talk about where the issues of violence has happened. What is the number about what you believe you have cured violence in your catchment areas, and what you think what the expansion of your program is going to do to help deter other acts of violence in the future?
Well, hiring more gangs. We have gang specialists that kind of deal with the leads or the big homies. Or Jody, you wanna
Hold on, excuse me.
Oh, there you go.
She would like to answer that.
I would like to answer that because I've been.
Stand up so that we can catch you the camera.
I'm
Introduce
like
yourself.
a new person that came here, and Mr. James has helped me a lot, homeless and stuff like that. But I think he has helped a lot in this community, because although we have a lot of gang violence going on, a lot of those people already attended here. And reality behind the gang violence is just like a bunch of rappers pretending it's gang violence, so the young youth could, start up, and they have been here already. So basically, Mr. James is like an eye for us to see what is really going on in the streets and stuff like that.
Wonderful. Thank you. Great job. I'd love to use for that.
Like, what are the numbers from previous, we talk about when you were squad,
Yeah.
how you hope to expand?
Yeah, we have my time, the numbers.
Well, the numbers.
Who's that mic at?
I'll talk. You want to talk? Yeah, but
So
come on.
what we actually do, we have the high-risk participants, so we talk about bringing down the violence, we actually have the real shooters, right? So the ones that actually committing the crimes is the ones that we are mentoring. So a lot of the time that they sit in here is usually the time they out here grounding somebody and getting into some trouble. So with the program is actually making sure that they doing something in their idle time, right? We also make sure, because we get to know them. We get to know what their household is like, right? We know what their issues are. We do R&R plan with them, and we attack the issues that's a problem with them. So if they need education, they have learning issues, they need money. James, let me tell you about James Dobbins. Let me tell you about James Dobbins.
I appreciate that, but let's give them, like, for example, 50% of the people within 4 or 5 years come back with the same or similar injuries. That's not the stats when it comes to here anymore. 20% of them don't make it. So we do report outs of how many gunshots, how many interruptions we did. Read out the incidences. Yeah, okay. How many shootings? Read out the stats that the report out.
In Patterson Project, there hasn't been no shooting in 17 days. Before that, it was 137.
That's correct.
In Mitchell Projects, it's 603 days, there has been no shooting. Shots have been fired, but nobody been hurt. Nobody been shot, nobody came through here. So that's what's been going on, which is Patterson and Mitchell Project. That's what everyone cares about.
Right, so I just want to give you tangible, those are tangible numbers, right? Historical numbers that we, and the mediations and the conflicts and the interactions, we document these things. So we can give you more detailed information as far as our documentation of how many people we service and how many interruptions we do. Every time we canvass in the community, how many people we walk across and stop situations. It's hard to measure. Some of the difficult, it's hard to measure when we talk to somebody and stop them from shooting. How do you measure that, right? How do you change the mindset? So also, we go to the adolescent clinic, we have book readings, a gun is not fun. We want to change the mindset from young. So it's a whole holistic approach, dealing with them from early. A lot of these individuals are borderline, they kind of don't know what direction they're going to, and we keeping them here. Like all these kids you've seen, usually they be where? In the streets after school. That's when the times when shootings occur, when incidents happen during those high peak hours. That's why they're here in a safe haven. Okay? I hope I answered the question.
And yeah, definitely. And talk to me one more question I have. How many young people are in your program? So you have girls and boys. So we've been talking about how many of them are men or young men, and how many of them are young women in the school program, and then how many of the expansion do you hope to outreach to? Because the important thing is to talk about, you got almost 200 here now. Expansion means you're gonna reach maybe closer to 400, which means, and then they come into a safe space. I just want to hear what those numbers are.
So,
how many are female men? Because we know that it touches young women and it touches young men. So they're both influenced by gangs and violence, unfortunately.
Gun violence is the leading cause of death from 14 to 23 years old. Blacks and Hispanics, right? So we target those demographics from 14 to 24. Who we cater to? Pre-K to 5 years old, you wanna hit them in the head from early, right, to prevention. We have people so our age is from pre-K to 100 years old, you know, but unfortunately, the 40-year-olds, the 30-year-olds, they are parents. Some of them, their mindset is still in the streets. Some of them are the big homies. So we target from 14 to 23 years old. Our stats, we have the numbers here, about 85 youths enrolled in our summer youth anti-gun employment program, the Work, Learn, and Grow. We have 20 youths. My youth ambassador program, we have 115 youths. We have 34 youth involved in our music, 23 in our fashion, and they all range, like I said, from the age of 14 to 24. We also have some participants that are 35 years old, 25 years old, up to the age of 40. All right? And we target those who have influence, the trendsetters in the community.
How big is your team?
Just for the record, that we have more females than males in our program, because the girls nowadays, they're really out here calling the shots.
Yes.
More than the guys, they tell the guys what to do. And he asked about the staff, so.
We have an 18-man staff. I don't want to say, but I have to say, because the numbers that we have and the participants that we have, our numbers is quadruple, probably 10 times more, and their staffing is probably 5 times more than our staff. So the ratio don't match based on the people that we're servicing, as far as the men and adults in our prevention, in our intervention program, the 3 folds, then we do our outreach. We also do community outreach, which is another component. It's important to bring the message to Guns Down Life Up. That's why you see these t-shirts, we make it innovative and cool, and to promote peace, we have different celebrities wearing it. So to answer your question, based on the ratios and the people that we're servicing, we just need at least 10 times more staff. We only have a staff of 18 members right now, whereas other existing sites may have 80 or 120 people, and they don't service the same amount of people we service, and they're not located across the street, I would say, from a project or in this catchment area. This is why I beg that we be able to expand and assist the other sites. Everybody's doing a great job. We want to help, we want to stop people from coming into the hospital. That's one of our objectives and goals, and we witness it here every day.
And my last question is, how can we encourage our civic team member, board members to have, so that young people can hear them when they're working hard on their behalf to ensure that their policies, there's programs, there's resources out there for young people beyond Guns Down Life?
I think we should have a youth committee, right?
This is it.
The youth committee. So in other words, I think this panel, I should be looking at the youth right now. I shouldn't have to ask that. I shouldn't have to say you have a youth. I mean, well, y'all young. But I'm saying, when you have a youth, I recommend, please, some of the youth be a part of the panel. Because you realize the questions that they had when they talk about the schools, you know, you're doing a great job, but you can't do this without the youth opinion. So I encourage, we went to, we have civic engagement, we have Mark Jury with Vanessa Gibson, we attend those things, we do civic engagement classes, financial literacy. So we have been more awareness to this, but they can be more engaged and be a part of your discussions and be a part of your meetings like they are today. Today you'll be able to see what's going on, and tomorrow we encourage them to be more involved in the youth panels and participate with you guys, and we encourage that 100%. Oh, question.
What do you guys offer in terms of like emotional support on mental health of these youths who are in the streets?
Excellent question. We give referrals all the time for the child psychiatry, we have mental health, we're a hospital. Then we have peer counselors as well. So just come on down, we do an assessment, we deal with you where you are, and we have the services, especially for mental health and peer counseling. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Once you're part of the crisis management system, you take a training called the BIRD training, violence interruption training, and then we're labeled experts in mediation. We're labeled experts in everything peer counseling. We actually go to the DOE and we do a peer counseling courses, bullying classes. We're part of Project Pivot in all the high schools. So once you're violence interrupted, you have this New York City ID from the mayor's office. We are labeled experts in what we do. It's written. So we're a bunch of experts to work within the community as well. And then just to finalize everything, this special team that you see here is handpicked, which have their fingers on the pulse throughout the whole New York City. So if someone gets shot from Queens and comes up into this hospital, there's a phone call that could be made, or most times they'll call us and say, yo, one is on their way. So we get to the job. So normally some people will be like, not my baby, but we will really know what your baby was doing outside to get that type of injury. Was it right? No. But so this is why we have an after-school program to idolize these kids' times so they don't get into that mess. Because our team is so hand-picked, we've been in all the type of messes and we know how to get out of them. So all we want to do is just teach it forward.
And real quickly, I want to say thank you for coming. I have a gift for all of y'all. If y'all can hold these up, because this makes it cool and trendy. We have everybody's size. I'm not giving you the exact size, but if y'all can hold it up and get a photo, that'd be so nice. And I'm looking forward to the follow-up.
Yes, he wants to add, excuse me, he wants to add something.
Oh, I'm sorry.
For your question, young man, with the well-being and mental,
Yeah.
with peer counseling that James has now, is providing the integration, personal knowledge, as well as substance abuse. And those who have substance abuse issues that's leading to mental illnesses and stuff like that. So peer counseling support is a good way to attack that.
And I also have another question. Do you guys have any leadership roles for these youth? Like coming up?
Yeah, we have a youth ambassador program. So we actually have one kid named Christian Matthews. He's gonna be running for public advocate very soon. When he came in at 14, now he works for Al Sharpton, right? Most of our kids are in college. We have a lot of success stories. There's not enough time to even talk about it, but you are welcome to come to B75 and come take a little tour of our office and further explain everything.
And just lastly, the hospitals have every profession you could think of, IT workers, hospital police, doctors, nurses, and they all come to our after-school program and connect them to career path. Tell them what it takes to be a IT worker or a hospital transporter. So this is the one-stop shop. And to answer your question, yes, create youth ambassadors. We want the voice of the youth. I want to, when I resign or retire, go to the next level, I want this to be led by the youth. That's the whole plan right now. Okay?
Real quick before we take a picture, thank you for your presentation. I want to quickly just ask the board, can I get a motion to approve, or can I get a motion to create a letter in support of GDLU for this committee here that will be passed on to the full board? Can I get a motion to approve that?
Yes, second the motion, or I motion to approve that, yes. I, Christina, motion to approve that action, yes.
Second, Cobra makes a motion. Can I get a second to the motion?
I put it on second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any discussion on the motion? And so, next up for, your program, we just asked, we want to invite you to our final board meeting at the end of the month, our full board meeting at the end of the month, final Thursday of the month, so that you can give a similar presentation to the entire board, along with our committee here. They will hear it, there will be a final vote, and hopefully it turns out in your favor, but you have the support, here, so I just want to, do one roll call.
Yes, 27.
Yeah, I said that part. So we still have that. Okay. So last Thursday of the month will be the 27th. So we invite you. Please bring all of the youth, as many as you can, back to that meeting.
But we have our social safety the last Thursday every month, and it happens to be here at Conference Room 5. If you have your meetings here.
We have it at 6.
It's a long meeting, so you.
So we have merged our social safety meeting, we're working out, we'll be here anyhow.
Sure, but our committee, approves the letter. So, thank you again for your time.
Can the staff get on top of the stage or something, and we get the group of the team, the volunteers, everyone? Everyone here. Thank you.
Zion, what is the extra vote?
Y'all can stay seated. I'll be here.
You got it.
Oh, y'all can.
Take a seat.
Y'all can stand up.
Oh, you wanna
Hey,
stay?
Trey, what you think?
Yes, I guess. Well, look,
You can stand, you can
Hey, Gilly.
These are really nice.
Thank you for your time and thank you for the support.
Thank you so much
Thank
for your leadership.
Yeah, highly appreciate it.
I got you.
But y'all in the picture.
Y'all getting comments.
And whoever listen to that shit, I'll get you what I got.
I'm waiting for him to get set. Get set, you ready?
All right. Ready? No, hold on.
Come on, MC, what's going on now?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Just
Three.
as long as I'm away. Ready?
Three.
1, 2, 3. All right, 40 more. All right, 29 more. All
All right.
What size you have? I think it's a medium or a small. Is that extra? Yeah. Oh, no, so let's take extra. This looks like a good shoe. Bring it back. What's that? Oh, this is a big
I will continue on to the next presentation. We also have the Bronx Health Outreach here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, you again. I want to bring it back. I'm going to focus that up here. So our next presenter, again, the Bronx Health Outreach. We would like to present the floor, please go to you.
I'm sure you can stand if you would like. On the microphone as well. Where's the? Yeah, I can stop. You just have to say. So I make a motion. Advice from you guys. Hey, I'll say, I make a motion. I need two people to make a motion. Yeah, you would say I personally.
So my name is Maria Mollett. I am the founder and CEO of Equity Design, and I'm gonna pass it. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
All right, pass it.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Diana, and I'm the program coordinator with Bronx Health Reach, specifically working on our Creating Healthy Schools and Communities program.
What's up, y'all? I'm Jim Lammers from Street Lab. I'm a project manager there. We're a nonprofit that does pop-up programming in public spaces all around the city.
And I'm Talik Gilman, but everybody calls me Coach T. I'm the program design here at Equity Design. I'm the person who turns spaces and spaces into fun.
All right, so how we came together. So basically the way we came together, that's us. The way we came together is because each of the communities that we serve have a different take on challenges and the barriers as it relates to physical activity and creating healthy communities. So we're kicking into Bronx Health.
So how this started is for our Creating Healthy Schools and Communities. It's actually a grant that is awarded to Bronx Health Reach from the New York State Department of Health. And through that grant, what we do is we work with schools and other organizations specifically in the Bronx on improving nutrition, physical activity access, and complete street work, as well as working with food pantries, and improving their FSG food service guidelines. But specifically, we partnered with Equity Design to help us with our schools portion. So through our TIS grant, which is a 5-year program, we're currently in year 4. We work with schools on a number of areas. Some of them include helping schools create school wellness councils if they don't have one, and if they do, providing that technical assistance. The idea through that is that any work that we do with them, it's for them to kind of get the expertise and the resources for them to then carry it out once, let's say, we have to move on or things like that, right? Because it is a 5-year program. Other ways is we establish, wellness, policies for them. So how can they change their culture in their schools to improve wellness, not only nutrition and physical activity, but just mental health and just changing the culture as well. One of the main components that we've been working with a lot of schools is how can they create comprehensive physical activity programming outside of gym, right? Some schools share buildings with other schools, so they might not have the space or access to their gym, so they have to move into their classrooms. So how can we help them increase movement throughout the day outside of gym class, right? So that's why we partner with partners like Equity Design who are kind of experts in that area.
All right, thank you so much. And this is why we're the experts. So the mission of Equity Design is to be able to close the gap that exists between health, wealth, and life expectancy. And the way we do that is we assess first the data. We use an equity lens to really come up with the solutions. So we heard earlier about how important it is for youth to be a part of it. So all of our stakeholders are a part of our decision-making around what physical activity looks like in their community. So we do that 4 different ways. 1, we identify the needs. 2, we identify the challenges. 3, we analyze the data. And 4, we look for equitable and sustainable solutions. The idea is that once Equity Design and Bronx Health reach step back, the community, the school, the stakeholders will be able to sustain the physical activity and the health and wellness program on their own.
Great, and then so in certain locations, Equity Design and Bronx Health Reach are identifying in our schools, as Diana mentioned, places where maybe there's not a gym or there is, the yard is under construction for a few years. So that's where Street Lab comes in. We are a group that works all over the city, as I said earlier, to create and help communities create and activate spaces right in their front yard. So we work in parks, plazas, open streets, to bring our custom built gear and furniture to then support the community's vision in activating those spaces. So our kind of 4-pronged approach is design, fabrication, programming, and then community partnerships. Really where I'm operating is these bottom 2 are programming and community partnerships. So we keep the next slide. Yep. So community partnerships, what that means is working with our local partners, whether it be a school, church, block association, any sort of group who wants to create and activate space. We support them to make that vision come to life with our new public spaces initiative. So that works primarily with schools. Schools we found to be a really, really amazing opportunity to bring this work. And really what we talk about here is how all 3 of our boards work together to work with these school partners. Kind of the 3 main points of that work starts with access and equity. So as I mentioned earlier, how do we create space where things like structured and unstructured play, traffic safe, accessible spaces. Maybe there's not a park down the block that people feel safe to hang out in, and so we can help them create and reclaim space right in front of their doorstep. Second, connected. So where we're working, it's not just with that school itself or with that block association itself, it's the entire community. So what we tell our partners is this street becomes a blank canvas that you can kind of do anything you want on. And in doing that, you're spreading from beyond your closed doors to the entire neighborhood. And everything that you do is both on display, but also available to those around you. And then finally, I wish all those amazing youth were still here, because this last bullet point is really something we champion. As Morlana mentioned, there are a lot of stakeholders in this, all the way from students through parents, caretakers, teachers, staff, admin. We're engaging with all of them to see how they would want to use the space. And that even includes the neighbors and those who are on the block to come into these spaces as well.
So if you look at that picture right there, so that's actually right across the street. And so in that,
Yes,
what do you see, PS18, what do you see in that picture right there? You see bicycles?
I went to elementary school,
Okay, okay.
Okay.
No
So-
cars.
Right, there's bicycles, there's no cars, and it's a combination of the PS18 teachers, their staff, their students, and over 30 volunteers. So for that picture, we'll talk a little bit more about it. That is USA Cycling sponsors PS18 and gave them a fleet of bikes, over 68, which they sustain as a part of their physical education program, which means every student gets access to learning how to ride a bike. In that picture also, you'll also see with the USA, that's the Olympian Josh Hartman. He's originally from Guyana and he lived in Flatbush. That's where he grew up. He didn't have access to cycling. So what he's doing is through USA Cycling, he's ensuring that not only students learn how to ride bikes, but they become the next Josh. They become the next Olympian. In that picture also is Major Taylor, Black Girls Do Bikes, Transportation Alternatives, all mentors that not only provide access, but look and are from the very community right here in PS18.
So this is just an example here of one of the school streets we're working at PSMS 5. We're also at PS 18, as we mentioned, around the corner.
So how do we do this? A lot of what we focus on, I know that what you see here is direct service and getting kids and communities moving, but really is about sustainability. So through Bronx Health Reach, through the CHIS program, we look at technical assistance and on-site support. So right now, he's doing slides, but what he really does is he's at these schools almost every single day. So whether that's PSMS 5, PS18, IS 584, SBAM, and that's just here in the South Bronx. We service over 30 schools in the Bronx to ensure that they have access to physical activity and that they're able to sustain it. The way they sustain it is community advocacy. We work with city agencies to make sure that not 62 ends. Eventually, how many of you know that the Bronx is number 62 out of 62 counties in the state of New York for over 10 years? They're the highest in obesity. They're the highest in childhood obesity and the highest in health disparities, not to mention socioeconomics. That's 10 plus years. So what we do is we empower communities to ensure that they have the policies in place to be able to sustain it.
So my job in tech news is supported to change the mindsets, right? Change the narrative around how we support our communities and how we move our communities, right? If we use, for example, PS18, I'm supporting the PE class around cycling. But not only I'm giving the community access to safer streets and clean streets around cycling itself, but we're also changing narratives around the community. If you don't notice, when you look in the community across the street, there's normally people occupying the park in different ways that are not so nice for the community itself. As we provide access to the streets with the cycling, you see less of that influence around the community, but more now the community embracing the community coming around, cheering the kids along and embracing them around their cycling, but also giving them tips around that. So now we're changing it from the impact we're making is not just inside the school, but now we're impacting all the stakeholders within the community. We also hold cycling classes on the weekends, right? Where we're teaching students and adults how to learn how to ride within 2 days old, within a few hours within that time. And we have parents and families come back and say, I've been always scared to ride a bike, or I've always been scared to hang outside or try this in my community. So now we're changing impact them in so many different ways by just giving them access to different things.
I just want to add one thing, to say we, so like, the partner that's included in that we is the schools themselves, because the work we do is all based on the school's capacity. So like Marlena said, we do work, or we've reached out to 30 schools, and out of the 30 schools, I believe 10 to 12 schools have been like really consistent in keeping up communication and their school wellness council, because that's what the capacity is. And each school has a different focus. One school focuses on teacher retention. So what can they do? They establish a policy, they call it 3 R's, which is reset, recharge, renew.
Yep.
And their focus is on, okay, let's create a teacher lounge for a space for our teachers to relax and not really focus on work. So that's one way a school is doing it. PS18 is focusing on cycling and making sure kids have access to that. think PS32, their focus is on being a community fitness hub. So it all really varies based on the school's capacity. So when the kids are being provided these services, it's because this is what the school is working towards.
So again, that's literally right across the street. That's another way that we are able to activate it. The school, through their open street planning, they had a back to school rally, and this is the way that they chose to activate it. So keep in mind, as Diana said, we never come in and say, this is exactly what you're doing. They come in to us and say, hey, this is our vision, and we just bring the vision to life. So these are the fleet of bikes. And so we went from, in one weekend, we hosted, actually it was 3 Saturdays in a row for our fall clinics. We started out with 20 families, and then we had 100+ families that we had to divide it into 2 sessions. They learned from professionals how to ride and race bikes.
Just really wanted to be mindful of time. I wanted to check in and see how we were doing.
Another 8 minutes.
8 minutes? Okay,
Yes,
great.
sir.
Then do we want to continue with the kind of high-level summaries of these schools that we're looking at here?
Yeah, so each one of these schools, as Diana mentioned, so again, different, we're like chameleons. We come in and whatever it is that you're asking, we work with schools. The average level of engagement just to be able to have a school consistently is 1 year. It takes 1 year for us to be able to engage the principal and to really think about what the school has in mind for a vision around health, wellness, and physical activity. IS 584, this is for each of those schools that you see here, this is our 4th year working with each of them. It took 1 year to be able to establish at IS 584 what their vision was. They now have a school wellness policy. Because their problem was teacher retention, they had to figure out, well, we are in a physical activity desert, we are in a food desert, how do we retain teachers? The solution that they came up with, we just coached them through, was a teacher wellness lounge. They literally, from that, we were able to pitch it to Metropolitan City Bank. Metropolitan City Bank gave us $10,000, and I wish we had the pictures up, but they literally have a new teacher wellness lounge, complete with 2 bikes, a wellness area, module couches. It's dope. We're gonna go back there just to work out. PS18, same thing. The vision was, how do we create access to running, swimming, and cycling to ensure that all students, as a result of graduating from PS18, will know the proper mechanics of running, will know how to ride a bike, and will know how to swim. PSMS5, they had the challenge around, well, our park, the park, Pontiac Park, was going to close, and it's going to close for the next 5 years. What does that mean? That means no access to outdoor spaces and physical activity. They literally, every day, we're thinking for 5 years. That means you're coming in as a kindergarten all the way to 5th grade. You're occupying the auditorium for your recess, and that's going to be the memory. And then Wall Street left.
Great, yeah, so, well, yeah, we can talk about all of them, but just in general, I mean, as Morlana says, it's really a collaborative effort, and it really does, it's responsive to the needs and the vision, and together, that's kind of how we kind of, as we say, like forming the Avengers, we can kind of attack these issues. So thinking about PSMS 5 specifically, we're even there before the park is even closed. So they knew this was coming. We've started working with Open Streets there as a way to even pilot this, work with the school aides to prepare so that when we know how construction deadlines kind of can shift and move, even though that park hasn't closed yet, they're still preparing and practicing because they know it's coming. As we think about, collectively our impact, right? So, yeah. So, Bronx Health Reach.
Oh yeah, I pretty much mentioned this, we've done like outreach for 30 schools, out of them about 13 have been provided technical assistance around physical activity, nutrition, or school wellness, and out of that, 4 of those 13 schools have prioritized implementing open streets.
Our impact has been 300+ hours of engagement through technical assistance and support. With each of the schools that we work with, we increase partnerships, increase resources, and increase volunteerism. Each of the schools that we work with I've now had the opportunity to learn how to design a policy that will be a part of the legacy for years to come.
And Street Lab, we work all over the city, but this development work, we're working primarily in the Bronx. Here in the South Bronx alone, we've helped schools with over 36 days of school streets programming in their community, helping them close down their blocks, over 100 hours of engagement with youth on these streets, working with them to help them activate it themselves. And really, as I said earlier, just kind of hammering down on that point of these spaces are spaces that are inclusive to everyone. When we work with schools like PSMS 5, and maybe their initial into the program is a need for recess. Well, recess only really benefits those who are actually in the school. So we say, okay, well, if we're going to do a street closure like this, not only are we going to do recess, let's also do some after-school days. Let's do some bigger block parties where everyone can come and be a part of the space. Because as we know, all of this comes with compromise, right? When we're closing a street, we understand that parking may be taken away temporarily. Access through that block may be taken away temporarily. So we're asking, when we work with these schools, when we do the outreach, we're working together with the community to figure out how this is going to work for everyone. At PSMS 5, we started on Jackson Ave, great street, really fun for after school, but as we all know, that's a busy block. And we realized that the impact that had was actually, having more negative impacts than positive in that scenario. So we worked with the school, we moved it to East 150th, around the corner, a quieter block, and actually a block that for recess was even better because it's a little bit, smaller of a block. PS 18, the challenges there, we applied for Oakwood Street a few years ago. Unfortunately, in their application last year, DOT denied their reapplication, so now we're working with them to reapply now for next school year. There's of course other ways to close a block, as you all know, through SAPO, so we've been helping them with SAPO permits, the Street Activity Permitting Office, to do events like Bike Fest and their back to school programming, hoping that now as we're bolstering up for their reapplication, we can continue for next school year. So as I mentioned, looking forward, you want to wrap it up?
So listen, we go big. Last year, we had the opportunity, again, to partner with USA Cycling, and we got a chance to partner with Major Taylor, Black Girls Do Bike, and they came here. They volunteered over 30 participants, and we hosted our first ever Bike Fest. During that time, with the help of the community affairs over at the 40th precinct, we closed down streets, not just a street, but streets. The students were able to learn how to ride in a Peloton. They were able to race the Olympian Josh Hartman, and it was so good and so memorable that when we walk into the schools, they say to us, sign us up for biking. These are second, third, fourth, fifth graders who remember that impact. So we're going bigger. So what you see right there is going to be our second annual, but it's going to be a community duathlon. So what we're going to want to do is to be able to close the streets in and around PS 18. First in the morning, do a community ride. We have adult bikes too that were given to us by the Department of Transportation. Those adult bikes get ridden by the teachers, by the family members. We want to be able to close the street. I don't know if you've ever heard the sound of cyclists really cycling. That is the sound that happens in Marcus Garvey Park, where we were able to get at least 13 students from PS 18 to ride with the professionals and race. So we said, what did we say, Coach T?
Why not bring it to the Bronx?
Why not bring it to the Bronx? Why not close down the streets? Why not, for a brief period of time, utilize and show how we can come together through running and through cycling to be able to compete, to be able to show students with the help of professionals how we can safely ride together. So we did it from a bike fest to now it's called a community duathlon.
Another 2 minutes.
Great. Yeah, next slide. So again, returning to this original slide where we brought up the power of collaboration, right? Next slide, please. So now, why are we here today? What are we looking to, collaborate with you on? At a baseline, what we're presenting to you, we're looking to gather community support, but it's really more about, how can we align in a bigger way? As the youth and education committee, we know y'all have amazing initiatives that you're working on, And so we're trying to think of how like a partnership with us would leverage together to be able to, build a healthier and more active South Bronx with the schools that we're working. So next question, thinking about what this community duathlon is looking like coming up, how we're gonna start playing for that. This is something that we would love to align with you all on and be able to work together to make this a really special day. And then beyond that, as I mentioned, establishing a collective impact where we can support your health, wellness, and physical activity initiatives within the community, working together to really create some special moments.
That's a picture of the professional cyclist. And so the reason why they come and they volunteer their time, and they want to see community duathlon be successful, is because each and every single one of them said that they never knew that they could be professional cyclists. So it's their way of being able to give back. We thank you.
Thank you, guys.
We understand that you guys would like to, also receive a letter of support. So I did want to make a motion to my committee. Great question. Yes, Stephanie, go ahead.
Microphone, please.
No, okay, I think, y'all can hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah, I can hear.
recording.
Oh,
Either or. Microphone.
okay. So you mentioned that, you do it for PS5, right?
Correct.
When you say PS5, is this one?
Yes, it
Or,
is fine.
or the one that's
Jackson.
across the street, or this school? For this school?
Is
it for this school?
Yes.
Is it for this school you're working with, or this school?
Microphone.
Oh, I think they're,
Microphone, Stephanie.
so that's College Avenue.
No, that's not college, that's 150. So this is where you guys have a street lab currently, right? Is it for this school?
No, that's Cardinal McCoskey. Yeah.
So that's the school that you work
No, it's PSMS 5 across the block.
This school,
Yes,
It's like a one-
yes, this school. Right? Oh,
this one.
Yeah, that's Pontiac. Playground, so it's like right
Because I'm
across.
really confused on, I love everything that you guys are doing, but if there's a big space of playground across the street, why would we have the kids in the middle of the street?
of course, yes. So, you want it?
So, yes, so the school came to us and they said that they're actually closing that park for renovation. And it's going to take up to 5 years. So it's a big space, but it would be closed for the next 5 years. So what we did was we piloted what a recess program on an open street would look like.
Can I add a point to?
Now, I'm sorry, I have a second question.
I also want to add a point too, also with the park being closed, within that community, there's a unruly atmosphere that happens during the day. By us now closing the streets and teaching how the school to access the streets to play, now we have changed the narrative around that community. So now you don't have that influence of other people occupying
How
the space.
often are you guys in that community? Because I legit live down the block from that.
Well, for the past 2 to 3 years, we were working with the recess team there particularly. For this particular year, we were there for the first 3 months, every single day, working with them to get them prepared in that space. Within that time, with the community affairs officer now occupying that space directly, the traffic through that space had now lessened. We're not saying that we completely eradicated it, but we did lessen the traffic that was in that space that was looking at being unruly.
So it was last spring.
Oh, and just, yeah.
It was last spring where we test pilot and then we continued it through the fall.
How safe do you guys feel with the kids on that street? I'm not sure if you guys are aware of that neighborhood, but the drugs, the syringes on the floor, you have young kids in that flooring, which if I was a parent, I would be highly concerned to find out that my kid is on those floors, especially the way that area is congested with drugs.
So I think a couple of things. One, absolutely. So it goes back to what Coach T was saying, right? So even though it was the spring and the fall, 2 years prior, we were working with the Department of Sanitation and we were working with the community fairs So we first started out on Jackson Avenue, and then that's when we realized we can't do Jackson. Then
Be a spot to begin with.
well, I think there's two parts to it, right? It's, all right, the problem and the challenge of students would not have access for 3 to 5 years to any open space for play. What's the solution? The open streets. So we actually not only did the test pilot, but we presented to the community affairs at PSMS 5. We did a number of other meetings with the teachers. They talked with the parents. So we did our due diligence and we totally understand. So first things first, we always do a sweep of the space, literally. So the New York City Police Department actually works with the Department of Sanitation to pick up any needles that are there. The other part of it, there was such a change. In the beginning, you're right, it's a hot spot. In the beginning,
down the block. This is why I joined my community board, because of the change that's happened in that neighborhood specifically.
so in the beginning, people were looking and we had everyone out there in terms of their eyes. Now it's, well, when are we gonna go back out there? And same thing that happened with PSA team, matter of fact, same thing that happened with each and all of our schools, because it's a change. But we're very aware, and that's why where the technical assistant comes in, where we monitor and look at, before we choose the street, let's see what it looks like during the day, during the time that we want it, and let's get the influence of the community to be able to make sure that it's a safe street.
And I think a point that's been brought up, again, future you and the league, but once the community is activating the space, you see less and less of that activity. Unfortunately, it's not disappearing, but I guess people, like she said, all eyes are on that street now, that you see less of that.
Yeah, last little thing I'll add to that is all of this is a pilot and it's a process. And so we're not out there every single day closing the block, realizing that that would be a huge interruption to the community. We're working with the school to kind of build up that capacity, practice, so to speak, so that when, they do want to do more frequent activations or, it is kind of something that they're doing, maybe not every day, but, more often, they're prepared and they're ready. And we actually don't even have to be there, that the space is already ready and they've practiced and they've gotten it to the point where they know it's going to be successful.
Quick question, how do you guys determine which students from the school participate in the activity for any given program?
Well, I think it depends. So let's do, again, working with like over 30 schools. So let's do PS18. So PS18, Coach T actually works with their PE teacher for 2 years now. It was 2 days a week and now it's 1 day a week, focusing on the cycling program and the running program. We work with the principal and their AP, Mr. Z, around which classes do we want to choose. We make sure that it's all inclusive. So we do ICT, we do ELA, we make sure that there's an understanding of the gross motor skills with all the students. So the school's the one that says, let's work with these group of students. As it relates to the open streets, there's open streets for after school, which makes it all inclusive. There's open streets for recess, and there's also open streets with the New York City Department of Health now supports as a part of outdoor learning. So we actually, you can't see it, but those are teachers turning the ropes. They use physical activity and math and ELA and science, as well as, I don't know if you saw before, the build on how to be able to use the open streets as another classroom.
Thank you so much for your presentation and all the great work y'all do. I have maybe like 2.5 questions, I guess. I'll first ask, I think at the hub recently, I might have seen Street Lab.
Yes.
I passed by, I said, what's going on? I was on my commute, maybe heading back, and folks were drawing on, they were drawing something, and I think I stopped by and saw it. So you're right, it really does bring like a positive spirit to an area where usually there might not be much going on. It seems like people are engaged and they're at least interested in what installment was happening, so that was cool. Secondly, on the bike riding lessons on the weekends, is that at St. Mary's Park? Or where,
So it
yes.
so it is for the PS18.
Oh, okay.
And the surrounding community as long as they register. But again, the idea is to be able to activate, a new way to activate the street.
That's awesome. Okay, I might have saw a bike riding lesson happening on the weekends at St. Mary's. Maybe that's another organization. Okay. And then on collaboration, this bike riding event that's coming up, is that for this May? The bike riding?
Right, we're just getting started to plan that out.
Okay.
And part of why we wanted to come to you all again is kind of to just, we're trying to engage with all stakeholders who are gonna be, you know, a little bit impacted, but also it's gonna be hopefully a beautiful collaboration where everyone can come out. We were nervous to just like throw the map at y'all and be able to see, because when you see it at first, you're like, oh my God, that's crazy. Of course, there is a plan in place. We're working with community affairs, and ways that this is going to, you know, be a successful event. So just for instance, like where PS18 is in the top left corner, that's their block that they would normally close, East 148. That would be like a normal street closure. Up here on 3rd Ave, obviously closing 3rd Ave, that would be crazy, right? So, but there is a bike lane, there's a parking lane. And so rather than closing the full street, we would work with NYPD to be able to create a lane for the bikes. There's a lot of closures, a lot of times on 143rd over the summer, so we were thinking that would be a great place to add a block party element of this day. So that's going to be a full closure, and then up on Morris, as you know, there's a bus stop at 143rd and Morris, so we're already putting in place, you know, a plan to, with Street Lab seating and everything, be able to create a stop that's maybe a few yards south at the corner so that they're able still to have the bus service and not be impacted, closing just the parking lane on Morris to create the full lap. So those are just like minor details, but I wanted to throw that out there because I was nervous about putting the map in front of y'all and not giving enough context.
It's ambitious. It's ambitious, and I think that's great. I live right on 141st, so I'll see him swooshing by.
And again, we just want to say, like, this is not us coming and saying, we're going to do this. We're working with Principal Jordan and PS18 to make her ideas come to life.
This is, and again, this is her idea.
That's awesome.
This is the principal, this is all of them. And we just came in and say, okay, how do we bring the vision to life? Because the reality is, a lot of our principals, our assistant principals, leadership and teachers, they have so many ideas, but they just don't have the capacity. And that's what we do. We increase their capacity to bring things like this to life. And a caveat, if you volunteer, On Running is sponsoring it. And so each one who volunteers will receive a free pair of On Running sneakers. I know. Right?
I'm gonna take one more. Oh, sorry.
Oh, yes, full swag, full swag, full swag.
Okay.
I'm gonna take one more question from Mr. Jordan and then one question from the public, so that we can further
the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Sorry, Chairman. So my gear, I want to get the gear. I couldn't get it from the DM. Thank you, sir. Apologies. So, what is your funding source now currently coming from?
So, like I said, this is through our Creating Healthy Schools and Communities grant, and that's the grant that Bronx Health Reach operates. So we don't charge the school anything. If anything, we cover the cost of connecting them with resources that might cost them money, so we take over that charge.
And then Street Lab, we are funded by a number of different funding sources, primarily the Department of Transportation, to work with groups, as well as like groups like Con Edison and things like that. We are obviously always looking as a nonprofit for additional funding sources and ways that we can work in more communities. But that's like, we're working separately, but together with groups like these. And that's why you were mentioning, you know, Street Lab, we also pop up at all other kinds of places like Roberto Clemente Plaza. We're also on Ray Street last summer with a group there. So we work all over.
I'm familiar with the organization because you used to work closely in churches to encourage churches to use healthier recipes. And
we still do.
We're doing gospel birds. Good luck at that. I know that it's important because some of these churches do that certified chicken at the end of now being baked chicken. So you broke in and I guess working out in some places. Good luck with that. But I think it's important because the Bronx is one of the frustrating work of our board is to talk about how we're gonna reverse some of the social and health conditions that have impacted our community, that has created unhealthier communities. We have also, in our public school system, there's a large population of students who are on the spectrum or autism. So I would love to learn more about how are you engaging young people who are in our public school systems or charter school systems who are on the spectrum, who may have different ways of playing or interacting, and how you engage them to be healthy, because their diets are extremely more important as they begin, as sometimes some medications or other limitations may lead to weight gain and other stuff. And so, but also that our parks would not provide opportunities for them to be able to have sensitive playing equipment in there. So I would love to learn more about how you're doing that as you're reversing, because it's important for young people to learn how to ride a bike. A little secret about me, I learned to ride a bike at 18. That's because we didn't have resources, and I'll be able to ride a bike, but then you feel, those who are not driving, and we encourage people to use bikes for mass transit to get around and get to. So I encourage that. So two things: how are you working with folks, the young people who are on the spectrum, and are you doing the schools to identify them? And if so, are you providing the materials to be able to allow them to also participate in this program?
Well, there's so much work that we do, and between myself and Coach T, so our backgrounds working with not only ICT, but those that are on the spectrum, those that might have motor and cognition skills delay. A part of what we do is, one, work with the school and identifying how to create a more inclusive environment. So we really take the school's lead. And so an example is, I know earlier they were talking about flag football. So we're actually working with 2 schools in the East, in the Belmont, East Tremont area, communities, where we're bridging that gap through walking. And each of them are going to have the opportunity to create an all-inclusive flag football team. And so, we can say, oh, just put it up there and the kids will come. No, we have to be able to promote it. So it's how we promote it, it's the language we use, it's the teachers making sure that there's inclusion. It's also us being able to make sure that as they play and as they're learning, and that they're integrated, that we take a moment to think about what it looks like, as opposed to just saying, this is what we have. So even with the cycling class, that is one cycling class that is focused on ICT, and again, another cycling class that is all inclusive and focused on ELA.
And just to add on as well, when it comes to like the schools, I know like there's all of these health disparities, and it just seems that we can't keep moving. And a lot of things that we've noticed that the schools have communicated to us is that there's always organizations that provide a program, but once funding runs out, the program leaves, and the teachers are left at zero again. So that's one of the main things we do. We don't provide the program specifically. We provide the technical assistance and the resources and the connections. So our main goal is to allow teachers to see that the work that they're already doing, how to refine that work so it's a little bit more sustainable and so it fits their capacity. And so that if there is a high teacher turnover or someone that was leading something, there's always like a backup within their teachers. It's not just one person leading an initiative. It's a team leading that initiative, and it's just like changes that culture. So in that way, we're kind of hoping we can change the narrative of what's been happening in our school system. And then another example that kind of reminded me bringing that up is that at PS32, they do have students that are on the spectrum. And one teacher did bring up, Ms. Norris on yesterday, was that when the kids are outside, you couldn't tell which kids were on the spectrum because they're all just having fun because they have the space and just the equipment. And the equipment that they use, aside from what Street Lab provides, is equipment that they have in their school already. So that's where that sustainability component comes into play.
And I just want to end with saying that I want to encourage you to think bigger. I know you want to do this well, the map in the area, and it looks big. It is a pretty large this surrounding, but bigger because if you look at our parks, we look at our streets, it's important to activate them in a way where especially young people need, and something what my colleague was speaking about, to find safe spaces to be active in a safe way, whether it is from gun violence to the open market drug using to other ways that we can take opportunities in our parks or our streets. I know people get afraid about, you do the streets, people say, oh, we can't get around because it's causing traffic jams. So our kids need safe spaces, in my opinion, but we can all fight about that another time. But I'll talk about how we activate our parks in a way to ensure we have a recreation center that's been closed for almost 7 years. That means there were certain places that were neutral. Some of our recreation centers, our nature centers have issues because some people from certain areas can go from one nature development to the other to become competitive sports. We need to find ways that we can activate places where young people can be safe from gun violence or acts of violence, and also with open market drug use, and have a safe, clean space so we can talk more, a bigger picture in the coming years or months. We want to have those conversations on a DM level to our community members, because it is now more important now than ever that our board members every day, every quarter ask, when is certain activities going to be given so that groups like Guns Down, like Bub will be almost out of business. Sorry for that, James, but also the idea of also trying to figure out, but it's important to have that, it's been important for a long time, but also trying to figure out how we can get safe spaces for young people to have innocent play and activities that are inviting up our communities in such a way so that we can be able to enjoy the outside again. Our committee's always thinking about innovative ways with game night and other ways to get kids active, that's inside. But I remember when you have the fresh air and you get so tired, you go upstairs, you just have to watch and get ready for dinner. That time is now lapsed. Kids are on their computers, on their the electronic activities, and they're losing that innocence of being interactive in different ways. So I wanted to have more broader conversations about bigger pictures, about digital coming. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah.
I do want to move the agenda forward, so any public comments, questions, or concerns, can you just have them talk to you outside? I know you guys were looking for a letter of support, so I did want to make a motion. Can I have a motion to approve a letter of support for to vote on a letter of support?
I, Christine Cooper, make a motion for a letter of support.
Can I get a second on that motion?
I, Claudia Rahman, second the motion.
Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. Any nays? Any abstentions?
I have a little, like.
One abstention, Joyce. One, Joyce.
Well, condition I have, if anything, I have. Go ahead, Joyce. Go. I said I'm abstaining.
She's abstaining. And then Stephanie, you have a recommendation?
Yeah, the recommendation would be, the recommendation would be to really exhaust all options before you have the kids in the street. It's really concerning with the crime rates, especially in this area. I hear cars just flying down all day in my neighborhood. I work from home, it's all day flying down, anything. My car was hit by a stray bullet during the daytime. So it is very concerning, to have kids play outside in the middle of the street. Also, do the parents know, do you guys have like waivers to letting them know that they're gonna be in the middle of the street?
Yep.
Okay, but yeah, so definitely, even cause really down the block from that spot, there's a community garden that is not used at all in the morning. Did you guys get to speak to them and see if there's something that you guys could do, like working with community, like Green Thumbs?
Speaking about PSM is 5 and PS 18.
That block, which,
The Jackson.
they right across the street from each other?
So PSM is 5.
Right.
I think it did speak to the community garden right there, but, I think during recess, as far as like transition, recess only is 20 minutes. So we think about our transition time from the school and getting there, we're just trying to make sure that the students still have access to that. The school currently only has 1 day of PE for the entire school, which now that limits their ability to be engaged because of activity engagement. So our whole process is that how can we not take away from physical activity engagement, but also give them extra space around it. So we went to so many different spaces that we can, and then the only other space that would be accessible would be the park.
The park right across the street.
But then that way, that would be within Natchez, and that would be. So that's the only location within the grounds where they have access to their transition, but also access to be engaged in the space.
And what detail did they give you from the school right across? Because that school is legit bigger than this auditorium right now. So they said that it will be closed?
So the park is going to, so what happened is, right, the park is going to be closed for renovation. So
So
they
that's their
don't,
recess, right? That's their
Right.
actual recess.
so it's
where-
their, it's
Because
their
that's what I
actual.
go all the time. So where do they?
So it's their actual recess, and it's also where they also have community events, so they don't have a spot. And so instead of having the students and all community events inside the school, the idea is, well, what space can we look at outside that is when, like I said, so when the problem came to us, like I said, more than 2 years ago, we literally took a year to be able to do our technical assistance and due diligence, everything from working with the police department to working with the community. So we definitely hear you, and it's a thought. But then the other part of it is, at what point do we start to change the narrative and figure out what does it look like and what needs to be done? And that's where, whether it's street lab or us doing the open street and recycling, or making sure that they have access to open space during recess, we're figuring out, and we're also open to how do we change that narrative. So how do we use street lab? How do we use Bronx Health Reach? How do we use guns up? Like all of these, or
Guns
but
down.
I'm just saying, like, how do we use all of these organizations to change the narrative? And that's really what we're doing. So we hear you, and we hear the community before we make any sort of decision. But at the same time, we also know that it's a challenge and it's a problem. So how do we solve
So, currently we have, six, yeses, one abstention and one no, or was it? How did you vote? How did you vote, sir?
I abstain, like remove myself from the whole thing?
Yeah, that'd be,
Yeah,
that'd
I'm
be
just
abstention. Okay, so then, two abstentions and five, yeses, so that motion does pass. Congratulations, thank you. We want to, invite you back on the 27th to present to our full board, and then there will be a final vote, in support for the letter of approval for you guys. So, thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
Okay.
Keep for sharing. Those are good calls. It's important.
Finally, just only the board members that you guys.
It's true.
The old business, child care updates. Child care updates. We got child care updates.
Yeah.
We discussed child care updates.
So right now, we are, working to confirm different employers and partners to take, who will be able to take part in the job fair that is scheduled for Saturday, April 5th at Junior Charter School from 10 to 3. We are still finalizing our flyer, however, we have created an Eventbrite as we want to encourage folks to RSVP via the Eventbrite, in which we're posting on our socials at this time until we have that job fair flyer confirmed. But like I said, we are in the midst of just confirming different employers as well as different community partners who will be there to provide different resources that will help people obtain jobs. So we're looking for folks to, provide information in regards to obtaining OSHA, certification or driver's ed. And then also we hope to extend the opportunity of the resources to, our meetings in the sense of being able to continue different workshops and whatnot. So this is like ongoing. If you check out our Eventbrite, you'll also see that we provided some FAQs to try and encourage people to really come ready to interview on the spot. And we look to have just a variety of different employers present to also address the different ages that we're looking to attract. Again, our ideal audience it's, adults between 16 and 26, but this is for the community. Anyone who needs a job, wants some resources to come on through and be 10 to 3. So we're just keeping track with our confirmations right now. And as a planning committee, we set some goals amongst ourselves to try and move forward with the program. Does anything else?
That sounds good. My only question was where can employers sign up? And then how are you keeping track of the employers? I have some people that I know.
So, in keeping track of our employees, we do have spreadsheets in which we are identifying every employer and partner, when they're offering their needs, and then also trying to identify the age range that they can attract, right? Because not every employer wants a 16-year-old, right? But there's some partners that may benefit from a younger audience. So we really try to be intentional about that so that we're not scaring folks in the wrong direction. And there, we do have like a master spreadsheet document that's keeping track of our action items, keeping track of our suggested employees that we want to reach out, keeping track of those that have confirmed. So that's available. And then you asked.
How do they confirm?
Oh, and then as a so we have a template where we've been able to I don't think any of us have used it just yet, but there was a template that was created that was supposed to be shared, and I think one of our next steps, we're actually going to meet tomorrow remotely to discuss further, but I think we're going to be sharing out like also an interest survey to also gauge. And we did send out interest help survey to the board, but I made a mistake by adding a little bit too much of a Google form part of it, and I'm not sure people had like a hiccup about that. And it was delayed in mailing out because I had initially sent it out in January and only went out last week. I had to do a few follow-ups with the district manager. But nonetheless, I will resend it again to try and clear up any sort of mishap with that. And then, because in that survey, we're asking other board members if they wanted to support in us recruiting employers, and if they knew of organizations that they wanted to be present as well. So that was the significance of sharing an interest survey to our board, because obviously folks have resources, but then a next layer would be for those who are interested for them to share the information of their needs, what's needed, how many people we can expect. We also wanted to make it flexible in the sense that we understand everyone may not be able to stay from 10 to 3, so we had discussed opportunities where an employer or partner can participate for part of the time. Again, as we envision it being so packed, like, a bunch of folks present, and really set the tone for what job fairs will look like from our community board moving forward. Is it your turn?
Yes, thank you. That sounds great.
I just want to add that if you have any words that you think would be beneficial, you don't have to do the outreach, just give us the contact and we'll do it. Because I know it can be a little difficult, knowing what to say, but we already cracked all that, so just send us some information, we'll take it from there.
Perfect. Awesome. I'll pass it like that. I'm just gonna make a quick motion to adjourn the meeting. Can I get a motion to? No problem.
Can I get a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
I approve that, Joyce Wolf approved that motion.
Can I get a second on that motion?
I, Stephanie Calzado, second the motion to adjourn the meeting.
Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned, thank you.
So I'm missing, y'all need to